What if I told you that the greatest victories are born in silence, in the moments when no one is watching and no one is cheering? Picture this. A small, dimly lit gym at the edge of a quiet town. The floor smells of sweat and effort. A single light flickers above an old bench press, and in the corner stands a young man named Alex. His hands are calloused, his eyes tired, his heart pounding not from the weight in front of him, but from the weight of every failure he's ever carried. Alex was not special by any traditional measure. He wasn't born with remarkable talent, didn't grow up with wealth or connections. He was the kid teachers overlooked, the athlete who never made the team, the dreamer whose ideas were met with polite smiles and quiet doubt. Life had taught him, over and over again, that average was where he belonged, but deep inside, there was a spark he couldn't extinguish, a quiet belief that he could be more. One cold morning, after another night of restless sleep, Alex made a decision. He would no longer wait for the perfect plan, the perfect timing, or the perfect version of himself. He would start now, imperfect and unready. That decision felt small in the moment, just a quiet whisper of enough. But it set everything in motion. The first days were brutal. Muscles ached, lungs burned, and his mind screamed for comfort. Every cell in his body seemed to resist the change, and science would tell you why. The human brain is wired to protect, not to challenge. Evolution favors safety over growth. That's why your heart pounds when you step outside your comfort zone. That's why fear whispers that you're not ready. It isn't weakness, it's biology, but biology is not destiny. Alex learned to expect the resistance. He welcomed it like an old rival. Each early morning alarm, each drop of sweat, each trembling repetition became proof that he was rewiring his brain. Neuroplasticity, the ability of the brain to change through effort and experience, was no longer a term from a book. It was alive in every struggle. Each challenge carved new pathways of discipline and resilience. Still, progress was slow. Days bled into weeks, and weeks into months. Friends questioned his obsession. Some laughed. Others warned him not to waste his time. And there were moments dark, silent moments, when he almost believed them. But Alex had discovered something powerful. Action comes before motivation. The brain releases dopamine, the chemical of drive, not when you wait for inspiration, but when you make progress. So even when he felt nothing, he acted. One more rep, one more mile, one more day. Failure visited often. Weights crashed to the floor. Goals slipped through his fingers. But instead of seeing failure as proof of inadequacy, Alex embraced it as feedback. Psychologists call this a growth mindset, the belief that abilities can be developed through effort and learning. Every misstep was a lesson, every setback a teacher. When he missed a lift, he analyzed his form. When he stumbled on a run, he adjusted his training. He stopped asking, "Why me?" and started asking, "What now?" As the months passed, the results began to shone, not just in his body, but in his mind. The boy who once doubted himself now carried quiet confidence. The same gym that once felt intimidating became a sanctuary. Struggle had transformed into fuel. He realized something profound. Discipline is not punishment. It is the purest form of self-love. It is choosing today what will strengthen tomorrow. 1 year after that first hesitant decision, Alex stood in front of a challenge that once seemed impossible, a marathon he had secretly signed up for months earlier. The morning of the race was cold and gray. Crowds gathered, music played, and nerves buzzed in the air. As the starting gun fired, Alex felt a familiar surge of resistance. His brain whispered, "You can't do this." But he had trained for this moment. Not just his body, but his mind. The first miles were easy. The middle miles were hard. By mile 20, pain pulsed through every muscle. His legs screamed, his lungs burned, and doubt tried to take root. But Alex had built a different habit. He had trained himself to keep moving, no matter how small the step. He repeated a simple mantra. One more stride. One more breath. And stride by stride, breath by breath, he crossed the finish line. The crowd erupted, but the real victory was silent. Alex hadn't just finished a race, he'd rewritten the story of his life. The boy who once believed he was destined for mediocrity had proven to himself, more than anyone, that growth is a choice, not a gift. He had learned that greatness isn't reserved for the talented or the lucky. It belongs to those who are willing to begin before they feel ready, to act before motivation arrives, and to rise every time they fall. And here's the part that matters to you. Right now, as you listen to this story, your own comfort zone is whispering to you, telling you to wait, to plan more, to doubt yourself just a little longer. But deep inside, there is a spark, a quiet belief that you can be more. You don't need permission. You don't need the perfect plan. You need only to start. Maybe your goal is to write a book, start a business, run a race, or simply become a healthier version of yourself. Whatever it is, the path will be the same. Resistance will appear. Fear will speak. Failure will visit. But none of these are signs to stop. They are proof that you are on the right track. Every small action, every single step, is rewiring your brain, building momentum, and compounding into a future you can't yet imagine. 1 year from now, you could be standing at your own finish line, looking back on a journey that began with a single decision. You could be standing in the same place you are today, still waiting, still doubting, still telling yourself that someday is coming. But someday is a lie. There is no perfect time. There is only now. Your future self is waiting, are stronger, wiser, and more capable than you can imagine. But they cannot exist unless you begin. So take the first step. Make the call. Write the page, tie the shoes. Because the hardest part of any journey is not the middle, not the end, it's the beginning. Once you start, momentum takes over. And once momentum begins, transformation becomes inevitable. Remember Alex, standing in that empty gym, unknown and unnoticed, with nothing but a spark of belief? His story is proof that you don't have to be extraordinary to start. You become extraordinary by starting. Your life is happening, and the pen is in your hands. Write the story of who you will become, not someday, today.